Hey, everybody. I wanted to kick this off with a short little history lesson, if you wouldn't mind. Way back when folks were first starting to learn how to read, reading was like almost a distraction to their normal work. But then it was the educated classes that really actually started to read a lot more regularly. And then they figured out that being exposed to all that education actually gave them an advantage, and it gave them a huge advantage. Folks who could read actually started to do a lot more than other folks could do. Then fast forward a whole bunch, and we get into the age of the computer, when all of a sudden you can have this whole giant thinking machine inside your home. I actually spent a lot of time in San Diego, in inner city San Diego, City Heights area, and even into the late 2000s, 2010s, and things like that. There were libraries in City Heights area that had huge computer stations, just so that the impoverished kids in that neighborhood could get access to a computer, because they recognized how much a computer gave them a huge advantage in all of their schoolwork. And without a computer, you weren't going to survive. You weren't going to succeed. Today, I think more and more that advantage is AI. And those who have access to it are leveraging it in ways that are blowing other companies out of the water. Like it or not, it's the next thing that's giving everybody an advantage. And that is what we are going to talk about today. This is WP Product Talk, a place where every week we bring you insights, product marketing, business management and growth, customer experience, product development, and more. It's your go-to podcast for WordPress product owners by WordPress product owners. And now, enjoy the show. Hey, everybody. I am Matt Cromwell from Roots and Fruit.
And I'm Ian Misner from Kestrel.
And before we get started, I just want to say you all have been amazing and awesome. Today is actually the very first time that we are live streaming to the WP Product Talk LinkedIn page, because you all are following us and we finally hit the number of subscribers or followers that we needed to start streaming there. Don't stop though. Keep hitting the subscribe button wherever you might find us. It helps us out a whole ton.
Yeah, awesome. And huge thanks to Freemius as well. It's our exclusive growth partner. And Freemius helps software makers grow, monetize, and succeed as a merchant of record platform, handling everything around selling software. And check out payments, subscriptions, licensing and updates, global tax compliance, etc. Let you focus on building your product.
Cool. And today, like I said, we are going to be talking about the advantage AI gives you, particularly from a agency or services perspective. And for this, bringing on none other than a friend of mine, Vito Peleg. Vito.
Hello.
How you doing?
Very good. It's nice and hot here, so I got my summer attire on.
Nice. Love it. Vito, tell the world a little bit about who you are and what you do.
I started building websites when I was 14, back on GeoCities back in the day. I've been building on WordPress for the past almost 20 years, maybe 20 already. First started as a freelancer, then built an agency here in London in the UK, and then built a plugin, was called WP Feedback at the time. We rebranded this as Atarim a few years ago, and now we're serving more than 70,000 agencies or teams and agencies that are using our solution, with 1.6 million of their team members and clients. And also, regarding this topic specifically, I was very fortunate to be one of the first people that got access to GPT-2 back in the day, first 1,000 people. And when it was still in beta, and we went on to build with my good friend and our good friend, Andrew Palmer, built the first implementation of AI in WordPress back in 2020. Second AI in the Chrome store as well. So I've been following this space very closely, both on the agency side and the AI side. And I'm looking forward to have a nice conversation here today.
Love it. So let's jump into it. Essentially, what we're talking about is that AI gives us advantages and the ability to do things in ways that we never were able to do before. And nevertheless, despite that reality, adoption of AI from a company perspective is a little bit scattered, a little bit hit or miss. There's plenty that I know and I talk with all the time that are adopting AI in kind of like miraculous ways, I think sometimes. And Atarim is top of mind on that one for sure. With that in mind, Vito, this was your subject. This is what you're passionate about. I've talked with you about this in lots of different settings. Tell me exactly why this subject is so important to you and what's so interesting about it.
Mostly because the shift is real, and it's not the first time. Like we've all been through a few of these cycles already over the past 20 some years, from the code the whole thing from scratch to the drag and drop builders, or to WordPress and then to the drag and drop builders, and now into the AI. The way I see this, we're kind of changing interface back and forth from the keyboard to the mouse, now to speech, and but we're trying to establish the same result at the end of the day. Another part of this is that as technology evolves, there's more expected of us as professionals, whether we're agencies or that we're building product. There's more expected with every turn, and so that it's not that at the end of the day, you're saving a whole bunch of time, for sure, but not to go and sit on the beach, but now the expectation has risen, and so you deliver faster, you deliver more. And so the shift of what AI is doing to our space, I would say that we've seen this happening and in the development world 3 years ago, and they kind of landed already in a place where it's an integral part. If you have a developer that is not using AI at this point, then something is completely wrong. With their own ability to adapt.
Yeah.
The shift, though, into the design world has only happened over the past few months. So when we're talking about website agencies, and this is all happening right now, and that's why I'm excited to share this. And also because this is what we've been building towards. And I don't know if you know, Matt, but yesterday we pushed to beta Atarim version 5, which is the AI web agency. And the whole idea is that it's plugged into our agency customers so that their clients can self-serve under their brand, under their guardrails. And so we're really, we've leaned in early and continue to leaning in with every new level of technology that is available out there. So it's very exciting to see this happening around, but I think it's really imminent right now just because of the shift that has happened to the design world just a few months ago.
Yeah. Describe a little bit exactly what Atarim does, what Atarim has, because you have two aspects. You do have a services arm that you have yourself, right, and you have a product that services agencies directly as well.
That's right.
So talk a little bit about those two things and the way that you see, or the way that you are leveraging AI in each of them.
And I started as an agency owner and then went into building software. And the whole initial premise of Atarim, or WP feedback at the time, was to allow WP professionals collect feedback on their website. So it started with the concept of click any part of any page on the site to leave a comment where the request is, while we augment this with a whole bunch of other layers of context, like an automated screenshot, taking information from the browser version, the screen size, the console errors, anything that the professional would have come in and was able to look at this, even from a vague 3 to 5 word message, and not need to go back and ask for more information. You have everything you need. What we found, though, is that this context that we were giving to the AI or to the humans was exactly the type of context that the AI needed to actually execute on this work. if given the chance, if given the tools and the ability around it. Now it is a full-on system that runs autonomous workflows in the background for your agency. So I'm sure we're going to go into some of these topics and principles here as well. But the whole mindset is that we're doing manual work way too much within our space, and the only way to scale is to put bodies in seats. And that creates the glass ceiling of website owners that usually sits at around 12 to 15 team members. Very, very hard to break beyond that ceiling because profits slip, and inconsistent delivery becomes a huge problem as you scale, making sure that you maintain quality. And so from both the software side, which is where we came into this initially, how do we streamline workflows? How do we make sure that teams work together and cut their delivery time on those on the back and forth with clients and with their own team members as well? Into how can it just do the work in the same mindset and leveraging the entire software, in fact, as the harness of the for the AI.
Yeah.
Now, how does that connect to the services side? What ended up happening a few years ago, which was kind of surprising to me, we served almost completely agencies and freelancers, right? And so like a normal freelancer might do like 10, 12 projects a year. An agency might do 35, 50 projects a year. And then we had one account that was doing hundreds and hundreds of projects per month. And that kind of like turned, well, first I thought something broke. As a product dude would. So when we looked into this, it was actually one of the large hosting companies that run their own professional services arm within the under the hosting brand that are literally churning out hundreds and hundreds of websites. That kind of steered my attention to maybe there's something here that we can serve others in the same way. And so we did. And now we are the layer that powers most of the professional services team in the leading hosting brands around the world. And then through that was the kind of realization as we were talking to hosting brands, is like there's a bunch of them that's tried it before. It wasn't scalable. It wasn't profitable. They had a bunch of pain trying to run these channels. And so we said, how about we just do this for them, leverage our own software. And internally, we call it, we get high on our own supply. We use our own software at the highest levels of scale so that we can learn how to improve it for the other tens of thousands of teams and users that are using it as well.
That's a way better way to say it than what most folks say dog fooding.
Right. Why?
Way better. That's Ian, I'd love to hear a little bit from you. Like talk about Kestrel and what you all are doing.
Well, I mean, I have two thoughts. I want to answer what Vito was saying first, actually. Is that specifically the big organization churning out huge volumes of relatively inexpensive websites.
Right.
I've got some experience with that. And so, when we were working on
folks
that,
who don't know, Ian worked at GoDaddy. So
right. Yes.
Yeah, right.
One of our customers, trusted customer for many years. Yes.
The professional services team there does some of the most inexpensive, pretty good quality websites that you could have. And I haven't been there for a while. This is pre-AI, whatever. But they're able to put together stuff for like $1,000 that businesses legitimately use as their real website. And they've been doing that for many years.
Yes.
So I can see like the incredible value of applying what you're doing to that, right? So, you're giving the purchaser, who my experience with customers at GoDaddy is it's a lot different than a lot of the WordPress audience that we're also used to. So much it's like, Main Street, somebody who like, they own a yoga studio in Ohio, and like they like Facebook's the internet. And so they just were told they need a website. So they bought one from a big company, but you're giving sort of the tools for that person to actually get the thing they want. The thing that I often worry about though, with, how wonderful these things are getting is it's, are you guys familiar with the Jevons paradox?
No.
It's so it's back in the 1800s in England, coal got very cheap. So trains got very cheap. And, everyone thought like, okay, things are so much more efficient. They're so much cheaper. And so, we can do everything we need to do. But what ended up happening is the demand increased by like 1,000 times instead, right? And that's, I think, what we're experiencing here. But as the demand, as the general audiences, the Main Street Ohio business understands that demand is available to them in that way, like the price just becomes that $1,000
Right.
that is available out in the world from some of these big providers, especially because tools like yours do make that a good outcome, right? Like it is good. It's the whole, like, everyone wants to be mad at AI, but I mean, if it builds something as good as what the people on your team can do sometimes.
Yeah.
I always say, like, it's not the AI it's not going to replace me. It's going to replace the talent I can afford.
Right. Well, I mean, there is still the whole, like, the substrate, the coordination, being able to orchestrate all of the machines is still a skill and a talent. It's very important. But when you're already selling something for $1,000 and you have a machine that can sell $1,000 websites in a month,
what's there to say no to?
Right, exactly. Anyways, that's not so much a question as like me struggling with the.
I can share how I'm looking at this, because there's most people look at this as a kind of a binary process of websites. It's either you do a DIY or you go to an agency. But there's actually 4 steps there, or 4 layers there. Is the DIY, then there's the cousin's daughter, as we call it, like the college student that builds it on the side, and this is the first time they build. They would do it for 500. I did it for 500. Then after that, you have the professional services team, and they're like the McDonald. It's about scale. It's not custom. You choose off of the menu. These are those types of scaled up operations, and above that you have the chef. And the good agencies are actually those folks that see their value in their own expertise, and the prices also range from the free. If you DIY, you spend 100 hours essentially free, to the $500, to the $1,000, to the $5,000 from the agency. So I don't think that agencies should chase down, and that was something that even happened when WordPress.com launched their professional services arm for $500, $497 or something like this a couple of years ago, and there was a huge outrage on Twitter at the time for 24 hours, and then everyone went back to work. So like at the end of the day, if you have your expertise, you can't run a McDonald without having the right kitchen for it, and those folks have built the right kitchens to deliver that. Better as a smaller operator to run as a chef, where you do your premium work.
Absolutely. We actually have a good conversation happening in the comments here. We have Imran here, Web Squadron. He says, I love human effort and human faces and the human touch with heart and soul. Agreed. But having AI to speed up things where the human element doesn't matter is fine with me. I mean, that's exactly that nexus that everybody loves and wants to lean in on as much as possible, I think. He's got one more follow-up comment that I think is good too. My analogy for AI versus human is AI wins when I prefer the car than being carried on someone's back. True. But human wins if I want to discuss a deep emotional problem than high-fiving ChatGPT. I think ChatGPT far too often, I have to say. I humanize them very much. Ian, I wanted to hear from you a little bit on boots on the ground, hands-on at Kestrel, before and after. And you don't have to think that far back. It's just like maybe a year and a half, your team was being monkeys on keyboards with no AI. And now they're using AI. And is it just like noise, or is it actually making you all actually more productive?
No, I mean, this is a thing that I talk about with the team frequently. It's like we all have to act like we, are starting over. These are the tools we're learning how to do the work with. And I actually think that I do this myself, and I hope this resonates with other people as well, where you try to do the thing you used to do but faster. Right. Is actually the very, very wrong way to think about using these tools. You actually have to understand what the outcome was, and it's first principles thing, all the same things we've always done. But taking the time to we all have predisposition. We have decided what these tools are good and are not good for, and we are all wrong. It can do significantly more. Yeah, I mean, first of all, does that resonate with you guys at all?
I take the opposite approach. I think that we've not only us, but we're only standing on the shoulders of giants, you know, and the way that work gets done has been already decided on way before us, you know. And so my mindset when it comes to building product is really all we do, literally all we do, is we're digitizing human experiences. We're looking at what do people actually do, what are the steps that they take to produce something of quality, instead of rethinking it and then trying to land in a different place.
I'm actually, yes, I fully agree with that. But what that means to me is, as a small team, so we've always been a small team. We have like 40 something products at Kestrel. So, you know, the juggling and operationalizing how to hit everything in an appropriate amount, so each customer of every product gets the value that they deserve for their license fee. That's always been the challenge. And with a small team, how do you do enough to make sure you're progressing things meaningfully? I mean, it's never been easier than it is right now.
Yeah.
Actually, like that's part of the issue. It's like, how, now that it's easy, what do you do instead?
Yeah.
But when I say it's like you have to rethink it, and, you know, really, like, I've worked in very big corporate environments where there's a lot of people whose entire job is like a single idea. You know what I mean? Like, they manage the queue of what's allowed to be emailed, and their entire job is to say no to emails. That's a person at a very big company. You should have an agent or a skill that is that person.
Yeah.
But even though you're a small company, you have 85 of these agents, people, whatever. And so you look to what the very big companies have solved, and you just actually build that.
Yes.
So I think that we are agreeing in the execution, but we phrased it very differently, and I find that interesting. Right?
I'll say from my perspective, the biggest thing I think about a lot is the way that a lot of the work that I used to do, I'll back up just a little bit. So I have an academic background. I've done research and things like that, and I kind of sometimes take a very similar approach when it comes to significant topics. I don't know if anybody just saw, I posted this article on my Roots and Fruit site about robots.txt, all right? The file that nobody cares about. It's like a thesis. It's a long article about the robots.txt and its significance and where it's going. Because I went way too deep. I went all researchy on it, you know? But the truth is, it was easy to go researchy on it. I have like tomes of research that I've done across a whole bunch of different marketing related subjects that in the past, it would have took me, family is great. It would have took me and my marketing team weeks to do the research that I can do in a short amount of time right now. Right now, I'm also researching different ways that different products break down between their free features and their pro features. So I literally put together a prompt with a little bit of context, you know, blah, 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 context, skills, et cetera, that just basically said, go find all these plugins and then create a big table that breaks down their features between free features and paid features, and put it all into something I can do. I would have taken days and days to create that amount of research, and I just basically prompted it and went and did something else and came back in like 20 minutes, and it was all sitting there for me. And now I have all this research that, what am I actually going to do with it? Or am I actually, and that's what I think is amazing, is that AI has given us so many things that we get, that all the menial time consuming things are done quickly. And now we have to do the meaningful part. And sometimes we get stuck there. We get stuck on like, well, how do I do the meaningful thing now? And I'm sitting on like 25 meaningful things I could be doing.
Yeah, that is actually, I think that tying that back to the paradox thing I raised earlier, it's that, you know, everyone has the same tools now to do 100 times more. And now like the hard thing is getting things done is actually still the difficult thing, which always has been. And to your point, Vito, like that is solved. Everyone does know the most efficient ways to do that. And so figuring out how to do that much faster and much quicker is actually very interesting. The thing is, it's like the production of the things is free. The scarcity is no longer the thinking or the information or even the doing with what we do. It's just like who's able to orchestrate and actually execute on getting out the things that matter is now those are the agencies that'll survive, basically, right?
100%.
I think it's from an orchestration perspective, that's also coming into the AI. So I think we're already and every year there's less and less that we say that we can do. But the real thing is around the relationships, and I think that Imran said it very nicely as well. That at the end of the day, I think that if the AI can do this work, and I was even talking about this at PressConf when we were there on the doing the talk, I see the rise of these mega agencies. You know, they're some of them are already here, and the scale of it is going to skyrocket even way further, because if it acts like software, then if it acts like software and priced like services and people still buy it, then you have a huge margin to scale things up here dramatically. And so there's a huge opportunity for agencies, but I also think that in the same way, the folks that are not kind of leaning into that new reality like head on are going to miss out big time on this trend.
Yeah, absolutely. We have another good comment here from LinkedIn from a very special commenter, Peggy Cromwell, who actually is a relative. Do you guys think that some of these products are going to be priced out of AI, as AI and the companies start raising their prices to what the computing power actually costs? I mean, it's a very significant question that has no exact answer. What do you guys? Are we all assuming that at one point, ChatGPT, Anthropic, Google are going to be like, "Hey, by the way, costs are actually 10x of what you've been paying so far."
So I actually have the actuals for this.
We have the actuals.
Yeah. So when we're looking at for example, using Claude in our app, it's so expensive through the API that it makes no sense. And you can scaffold your way into the similar result in all kinds of different ways. But leveraging the Opus 4.8 or Fable is even crazier, and leveraging this as the main AI that you're leveraging is just not realistic. So much that when we looked at the cost of API versus tokens compared to what you're getting inside the $20 plan or the subscription plan in Claude, and you add on to it a profit margin, a reasonable profit margin that you can sustain yourself as a company, it comes down to 16x of what people pay to Claude or to OpenAI for independent products that are leveraging the same infrastructure. So I think that a realization or a principle that is shaping up in the product space is that whatever the frontier AI is, it's not true that we all have the same tools. We have the same tools building, but when it comes to what is available to us as product makers, it's probably what was the best tool 6 months ago.
Yeah.
The good thing is that it's only 6 months, and in 6 months it's going to be as good as Claude today. And that's how it will continue to continue. And there's like diminishing returns as these things continue to evolve, but it is literally 16x if you want to make sure that of what you can provide your customers leveraging the same technology.
Yeah, I actually really think that, kind of like how I opened the show today, the whole concept that these types of technologies give a huge advantage over those who don't have them. It's kind of the whole thing of the rich just get richer. Even when it came to Fable that just got released a little bit ago, that whole thing of like the U.S. administration saying this is too powerful, so let's not let the whole world have it, and dialing it back and being like, no, only these people are going to get this. Even the U.S. administration 20 years ago did a similar thing with an Apple iPad, that saying that it was too powerful and it wasn't going to be shipped over to China and things like that. But there's also this way in which it could very likely go into like well, only the big corporations can afford these higher level models that are really powerful and valuable, and everybody else gets like the cheap AI essentially. You know,
It is a lot more complicated. I mean, so like Ed Zitron is a notoriously like anti-AI journalist in the UK, and he did like leak OpenAI financials, and like for them to even break even, it has to cost triple. Like it is just straight up. Like that's to stop losing money. So what you're saying, Vito, about like 16x probably is probably the real price, basically. The thing is though, is like the work that I do day to day, and like I burn more tokens than I should, certainly, on experimentation and just trying stuff. But like during the subsidy period, if you're using the tools to learn what's efficient, what isn't, and find ways to actually automate genuine tasks, like it won't be too expensive to do things. Like a lot of the stuff like code generation, like first of all, the code is very good now, first of all. But second of all, the like people writing code were not cheap. So even if it costs 16 times for the tokens, it's still much cheaper than paying me to go do that. And I think that's we are the R&D for these big companies right now is maybe the thing that you should be like leveraging with intention, really lean into the fact that, it's cheap or free right now, but know that it probably isn't too expensive at full price.
Yeah.
It's doing enough.
The APIs are much more aligned with reality prices. Like comparing this to the subscription, because they're playing a game of who gets the user, which is a completely different game than to trying to sell something. But
not to mention though, like if you do learn against the API, and I'm sure your team does a ton of this, but it's like the way that they expect you to use caching and the way that which model to call for certain tasks and breaking things out. Like you can take something, I had an automation that was costing me like $70 a day that, it was working, it was worth it. You went in for some optimizations. We were able to bring that down by like 8 times. Right. And it's just
100%.
The output is the same because the context and the knowing how to do the work. Once you discover that, the LLMs can do it very cheaply. As long as it is a repetitive task. I mean, like the exploration and the learning is still going to be expensive for sure.
We've got another question or comment here from Naweed on LinkedIn that pairs with what we're talking about right now. So with the rise of AI likely to confuse users around pricing their website development services, like how do we set a price for something that can now be achieved at 100x the speed, ending the relevance of hourly pricing? Vito, I feel like this is very much in your wheelhouse.
So first of all, he's correct that the kind of the hourly pricing is completely getting disrupted. Something that I keep in mind is when horsepowers. You know how we got horsepowers? Back in the day, it was a Ford came out and they had a car and no one knew what it was, and it was very hard to demonstrate what is it, like how powerful is it. And so they said, like, it's like 20 horses. And that stuck until today, even, when I don't know how fast the horse is, So I think that we can still look at dev hours and how long things took us as a means of monetizing and figuring out that kind of gap in there. It's not going to be, I don't think that in the next couple of years, there's going to be like a drop of 90%, which it should be, because you can do 10x the output. But I don't think that's going to happen. And that's exactly where the opportunity lies. Because if it does take 10% of the time, but you charge even 80% of what you charged, then your profit margin has grown dramatically compared to what it was before. And that will end at some point. I don't know when, but it's probably going to stick around for at least a few more years, where we leverage a tool and to do the same type of work. Now, to bring it back to how it was before, it used to be more expensive to build a website when we coded the whole thing from scratch compared to when we dragged and dropped it. And so that did commoditize the prices and probably drop the prices to a third of what they were. So it is coming, but I think that it's going to be supplemented by what is expected of us. You're just going to get more responsibilities and that will bring it back up to the amount of time that you're actually spending producing the thing. And if I may, one last thing, which is a thing I thought was interesting at CloudFest that we found. For years I've been talking about this concept that a 5-page build. If you know what you're doing, you can drag and drop it in 3 days, on your own, and you got it done. But it still took 6 weeks to deliver to a client, 4 to 6 weeks on average. And so the 3 days to the 4 to 6 weeks was where Atarim is the whole premise of what we're doing. Now it takes, instead of 3 days, it takes 3 hours to do this 5-page website. It still takes 4 to 6 weeks to deliver to a client. And so without a disruption to that area, we're still going to see the same timelines, which means that we need to pay. We have our payroll, we have our family, and all this kind of stuff. If it takes me 6 weeks to get to the deposit, what does it matter how long it actually took me to do the work?
Yeah.
And so there's still time there, but we're trying to also influence this.
Yeah, 100%. We're having a great conversation in the comments today, which is great. Zack Stepik is also in the comments from LinkedIn, and he responded to Naweed in this way. He said, Naweed, your skill can't be the programming language anymore. It has to be the architecture and the orchestration. AI still needs a person driving the build in order to produce something unique. I mean, I think that's a shorthand way of saying a lot of what you were saying, Vito. In many ways, especially when you alluded to the drag and drop builders, as soon as drag and drop builders got sophisticated and beautiful enough to actually execute really amazing websites, any of the web devs who were like, I still do everything with HTML and CSS. It was like, but who actually cares? Like,
yes, right.
Yeah. So I think it's a good point, and it's the same type of conversation, but with AI now, it's like, okay, AI did a whole bunch, and maybe you don't love it, but then as the web developer who's responsible for delivering something to the client, I'm going to make sure what I got from AI is going to go to meet the client expectations. At the end of the day, I get there way faster than I used to, and that's what matters.
Well, it's important to keep in mind anything that you're running through AI, like you're still putting your name on it. The output is still yours, right? So like yours, like the PRs have Claude's name on it too. But anything that engages with a human though, like you should have audited it. You should believe in it. And like that applies in a plugin to like hooks and filters just as much as, anything that you actually put directly in front of a person. But the thing that you expect a typical user to engage with has to be as good or ideally better than it ever was. Everything underneath, though, I'm trusting the machine at this point. It's fine with me. So.
Yeah, 100%. Vito, what else is going on at Atarim? What are you doing that you're excited about that AI is level upping for you? Yeah,
well, we're seeing the effects across the board from 2 years ago. It was very exciting that we managed to create a help doc custom GPT to help us create help docs way faster than before that. And we were kind of surprised by the fact that we don't need to reach out to 17 different people to get 17 different translations for the next release, and can be done with a click of a button. But now these things are on a completely different level. I think that the main thing that we're seeing as a team that accelerated us dramatically is allowing people to do autonomous work instead of moving things between different places. And again, it comes down to this kind of the time that it takes with the clients to deliver. Every time that something needs to move to someone else, that's when, as soon as it's on the shelf, you lost a week, no matter what. And so if you can bring in the work to have it be done 360 or 180, or at least not 5 degrees, as it used to be, but as broad as possible by the same person, start to finish, them being the orchestrator of the AI, as Zack is talking here, spinning up those agents that do the work on the different capacities. That's where we see the biggest lift. So it's less, in fact, it's less collaborative. Like you work less with others, which was the whole movement of the last 15 years. It was all about the ability to collaborate and all this kind of stuff. And now it's all about how do I minimize collaboration as much as possible, because you get better results quicker if you can do the whole round until the final QA or the final design sweep by the designer. And so we try to empower the developers to try and think about this, or the entire team, not just the product team, to think about this more in terms of like try to deliver complete work. And then let's have the expert or the subject matter expert review it.
Yep. I love it. I will say that was one of the first things that was really compelling to me, because I've been on teams where we would say that there's, 3 people responsible for getting this new feature out the door, or 3 people that are going to build this landing page or whatever. And it starts going through the process. And then all of a sudden there's 12 people on a meeting, and you're just like, how did we get here? Like, this is
expensive
terrible.
Also.
Yeah.
Like 12 people in a meeting is like $1,000 right there.
Yeah, exactly. And the way in which Atarim is built up to be able to basically have a team of agents all working on a thing all at the same time, to me was really compelling. It's really smart, because it's similar with support in the sense that like a lot of folks were really affronted, myself included, by the idea that like, oh, you're just going to get a bot. But the truth is, like, you can get a bot in seconds that actually answers 95% of the whole inquiry, compared to waiting for most plugin shops hours for a response. So like, I don't think the net sum result of these types of optimizations is worse in any way. It really makes me laugh sometimes when I see developers. I mean, I'm a developer, but I like to make fun of developers, honestly. When I see developers being like, oh, but the code is crap, I was like, man, folks, I've seen your code. Like, human slop is terrible, just as terrible as AI slop. And there's a lot of it. In the WordPress plugin repo, there is a lot of AI slop out there that was actually written by humans.
This whole concept of AI slop as a whole is just a signature. That's what we're really good at pattern recognition. And if we look at something long enough, we'll start seeing it everywhere. But like now you see that it's a Claude design, and it's like, and straight away. But 10 years ago, you saw an Avada website, and you knew straight away it was an Avada website. It didn't matter. Or 100%. You saw the Elementor button, and you straight away know this was this one and that one. So like, it's just this, or if it's a Shopify website or a WordPress website, without going to the WP admin and checking, if you did it enough, you saw these patterns regardless. And so I think that we can kind of relax on that, on trying to eliminate this completely from from everything that we do. It's just the current trend, and the next model will have a different quirk, and that will become the definition of slop. It doesn't mean anything.
Whether you do enough to build on top of that still matters, but that was always true as well, right? And that's the same, Matt, to your point about support. Nobody actually cares if it's good. Like, oh yeah, you can see Claude helped make this. Is it good is still the only question. Like, is it the right answer? Does the design look good? Like I can tell, but is it good or not?
Yeah,
I don't know. That's
100%. We rolled out AI auto replies in our support about a year ago, and it would basically be like an acknowledgement. We got your ticket, and it would say, we received your ticket. Here's your ticket number. While you're waiting for the human to reply, this is what our bot thinks might help you. And if it works, let us know. And we got a lot of replies that would say, honestly, that bot reply was really good. Thank you so much. And they would never say, yeah, that fixed it for me. They would never treat it like a human helped them in any way. They would always say, surprisingly, or like, despite my better inclinations, this answer is really good.
Yeah, I mean, we had a thing at the intercom that we had an email address hard bounce because someone was migrating their domain, and so their email was down temporarily. And intercom doesn't let you remove a hard bounce. It's like they just for deliverability, they don't allow you to mess with it. But their support bot did some validating information and fixed it. And like, I was so delighted by the AI figuring out what I needed and having access to be able to fix it, that it's better than if a person would have answered me.
Oh yeah.
Because I was shocked and amazed, right?
And itself, like the ability to self-serve is now expected. So the age of 72-hour SLAs is over. You know,
Yeah.
like this reality doesn't exist anymore. So and especially if we're bringing it back to the professionals, to the agencies world, if it's the weekend, it doesn't matter. If you're on a holiday, it doesn't matter. The client wants to get served, and they can somewhere.
Yep, 100%. You know, one thing we really haven't focused on much, and maybe we'll pair this together a little bit with best advice, is what are the consequences of not adopting AI well? Because that's the gap that we're talking about. The folks that are out there, basically, I mean, I think there's two groups of types of companies, or teams or individuals that aren't adopting AI particularly well at the moment. It's those who are just kind of like, well, AI is gross and I don't want to deal with it. So
Right.
they're just like the anti folks. And then there's the others that are just kind of like looking at it like, cool, but I don't have time to learn this whole new technology. They're just overwhelmed by it, you know. What's the consequences for those folks right now? What you know, what are they missing out on, or what's going to happen to them?
For the first ones, there's I don't know if you know this film Hot Rod. It's like a comedy, right? With Andy Samberg, I think is the lead there. It's super slapstick and dumb, you know. But there's one sentence that stuck with me since I was a teenager watching this. He who is resistant to change is destined to perish. And that is they're saying it, and someone slaps him in the face for saying it, you know. But the saying is so true. And so like if you're scared of it, fine, no one cares. No one cares. It's just gonna run past, you know. Like it's just gonna run past you. So like there's no point, is what I'm saying. Like there's no point being scared of it. The CTO of Shopify said it in 2022. Ian, you're selling also on Shopify. But I remember that sentence that we adapted in the company since then. Lean into AI early and often, and that kind of solves both of these challenges. You know, like if someone is scared, it's just a personal thing. Just get over it. You know, like it's here. There's no point. You know, but if someone is just overwhelmed by it, I don't think that you need to touch everything. The way I don't, but I do stay really, really up to date with everything that is happening. I watch a lot of the stuff. You know, we have Imran here and some of the other folks on the that are making these videos, so that I don't need to log into every single thing. If it's worthwhile, I will watch it at 2x the speed, and if it's worthwhile, then I will go in and explore it myself. And I let it come to me through the algorithm as a way of learning what is the latest. And I think that that's the right way to do it, regardless of whether you want to do AI or not. It's just being immersed in your expertise. Once the AI comes to your space, these things will start showing up in your feed. So just being immersed in whatever you do, constant learning. AI is just so much part of it right now that you can't really avoid it if you have self-learning ingrained in you.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah, I think I might be even more extreme to that point. Of like, I think that it's the Jevons paradox. It's not 10 times more; it's 100 times more. And I think if you're not trying to be ahead of everyone else, you know, I don't know when, you know, a year, 5 years, I think you're in a lot more trouble than what people are saying. Actually, it's like, you know, if you were a bookkeeper and you just refuse to use Excel, it's like you're a ridiculous person. Figure it out. You know, like that's
right.
It's I don't know.
Yes,
and it feels like too much, but that's genuinely where I was resistant to this. I thought it was all nonsense until November of last year.
Yeah,
you know, like I thought it was silly still. So I've turned around quickly and a lot.
There's an encouragement for everybody. If a curmudgeon like Ian can come around, you can too. There's a good comment too from Zachary Mims in YouTube right now saying, if you don't change and adapt, you're not going to make it. I mean, he's pretty blunt.
Yeah.
You can't meet changing client demands and competitive pressure doing stuff like it's still 2020. It's definitely not 2020. Thank God. 2020 was terrible. Jeez.
Yeah, there is though, like people are predisposed to believe what they need to believe sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And so I do, and this is not just, this is all over the place, like outside in the real world too. Everyone thinks AI is going to be wonderful for every job but their own, and it's sort of like, maybe just, if you think it's going to solve a lot of other problems, just, I don't know, start building houses or landscaping or something. Otherwise, figure it out,
Yeah, and it's not just it shouldn't be scary, like it's just a new tool that we can all use. And I don't get that. Like before us, it used to be a thing that if you knew how to use a computer, it was on your CV. Now within your CV is that if I know how to use the AI, no one asks you if you can use a computer anymore, or if you can type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I do miss when being good at Google was a skill. I do miss that. It's a nice time.
I love seeing the resumes nowadays that are like 12 years in AI development. Well, let's wrap it up. Best advice. Every show we end up talking about our best advice for folks who want to adapt to AI or want to leverage it in their services and their agency. Ian, let's start with you. What is your best advice to folks who are like the November of last year Ian, who don't know what they're doing?
I mean, I haven't done it yet, so take it with a grain of salt. But I think it's price or be repriced. I think things are going to be faster and cheaper, and whether tokens get more expensive or not, I don't even care. I think you have to start assuming things are changing faster than you realize.
Yep.
And figure it out now, especially if you're an agency. Actually, right.
100%. I'll go next. I'll say, honestly, for me, the thing that helped me really get in deep and start leveraging AI in every portion of my business was deciding on the way I wanted to interact with AI. Because in the beginning, there was like 25 different tools that were coming out all the time that I could have used for all these different purposes. And knowing me, I used every single one of them every day for like a month, and it was completely overwhelming. But eventually I landed on Cursor, and then I started disabling all my subscriptions and all the other tools and all that kind of thing, and turning off the API keys I wasn't using. And I use Cursor every single day for everything I do, and I love it, and it's amazing and been super helpful. But it's not for everybody. You might be a Claude desktop kind of person. You might be a ChatGPT person, which there's pros and cons to every platform in different ways. But if you pick your tool and try to get the most out of it, there's a lot you can get out of ChatGPT. It's not just simply like an answer engine, really. You can do ChatGPT projects. You could do all kinds of canvases. You could set up all kinds of like documentation things. You can leverage them in powerful ways. But figure out what your tool is and start using it every day, and ask it how it can be used for your workflows. You don't have to be like, go figure it out somewhere else and then use the tool. Just say, hey, tool, I got to do this one thing. How can you help me do it? And it will give you its opinion for sure. So that's my advice. Vito, last but not least.
When it comes to like, all right, so the point is best advice on leveraging AI in services and product and in agencies.
Yes.
Thinking systems. System design is the game. Like the task type of work where you go to the AI, ask for a single thing, come back, put it somewhere else, and all those kind of stuff. There's no need for that anymore. So I think that Zack mentioned the orchestration kind of component to this. I think even zoomed out from orchestrating is mapping out a full-on system and allowing the AI to run the one workflows, full-on SOPs. That is really where it is already there, like so. But it's new. It's not new. It's not too new to not use it. It's new enough in a stable state that we should be using this now.
Yeah, love it. Excellent. Well, this has been great. Vito, tell the folks where they can find you online.
So you can find me on X, on LinkedIn, Vito Peleg, and go and find Atarim.io. If you go to Atarim.io, you can look into the AI web agency. I was just telling you, Matt, before we got on the broadcast, that literally yesterday we pushed it out with the beta. And I just sent a video announcement. That's why I'm wearing also my fancy shirt here. I just made a video earlier today to showcase a 20-minute video of how does an AI web agency look like. And so if you want to find that, it's in our Facebook group or in our Discord, atarim.io/Discord. It's only for our community for now, and it's coming soon to everyone.
Love it. Awesome.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Awesome. And if you guys are enjoying these shows, do us a favor and hit subscribe wherever you're watching. It's free and it's easy and it helps us out. And a special thanks again to Freemius.
Awesome. And next week, we are going to have Derek Ashauer on the show. He's going to talk about data-driven product decisions and how he uses data to actually produce some programmatic SEO pages and all kinds of fun stuff.
We just put up a blog post about Conversion Bridge, actually. I love Conversion Bridge. Derek does good stuff.
That's good stuff. So, all right, folks, have a good week. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.